Leroy Jenkins.
Don't include any of that.
Excelsior!
Hey guys, this is Katie with the Daily Walkthrough, and I'm sick as shit. Why? Because he got me sick.
I would like to say that I was not patient zero and someone else got me sick.
Happy Thanksgiving. This is the Weekly Talkthrough. We're going over the most important news in gaming and esports this week, of course. Again, this is Katie joined with Matt, and kicking things off, I don't think there's any way you could have possibly missed it, but EA is having quite the kerfuffle of its 2017 year. Kicking things off, you had their massively downvoted Reddit comment on loot crates and microtransactions. It's at around negative 700,000 downvotes right now.
Yep.
The one that originally held the record was at negative 25,000. That is blown out of the water. It's not really an award that they want to win, but things have only been getting worse for them. The outrage did not subside. It's still going on. If you go to the gaming subreddit, if you go to a lot of these subreddits, it's even bleeding over into things like competitive Overwatch. You're going to see memes and GIFs and remember whens and so many hundreds and hundreds of threads that really are not kind to EA at all. Of course, DICE, the developer, also held an AMA that didn't really go very well. I think they were pretty upset, I think, Matt?
Yeah, so the members that were in the AMA were executive producer John Walsiljic, I believe I butchered his last name, sorry John, associate design director Dennis Brandval, and producer Paul Kesslin. So I think one of the biggest quotes to come out of this MA came from Brandval, and he said that DICE was incredibly saddened by the negative response of Battlefront II's community on Reddit. In fact, we hated it. We really truly did, he explained, because we want to make a game that you love. Of course, you guys being in reference to the community. So I think it's really important to put this whole, as word that you love, kerfuffle, into perspective. Obviously, the people developing this game and the people who poured their heart, sweat, and tears into this game did not want to make a game that the community hated.
Right. Don't lash out at the actors. There's a lot of people behind the scenes who really did a good job and are not the upper echelon management that perhaps made these decisions.
Right.
But at the same time, you had EA Chief Financial Officer Blake Jorgensen, who recently at the UBS Global Technology Conference talked about the controversy. And while he said that they do allegedly listen to the community, he also had this to say, and I quote, "If you have a live service component, you can have a subscription that's uncapped. Give people a way to spend money on things they want to do and that they enjoy versus simply capping them at $9 or $10 a month, and that's all they can ever spend." Maybe not something that you want to be saying right now. And on top of that, this isn't over, of course. You've got the fact that they slashed their prices for the loot crates, of course, to acquire these heroes like Darth Vader by 75%. They also, at the same time, slashed the amount of credits you got from game completion from 20,000 down to 5,000, which did not go unnoticed by the community.
Nope.
And even worse, Wall Street analysts are now getting a little bit more pessimistic about EA and how Battlefront 2 is going to perform now that it's been released on Friday. They're a little worried about it. And, you know, it's really not good look.
Yeah, and I'm proud of the Reddit community for seeing past sort of the surface level actions and circumstance of this, because dang, are there some people on Reddit who really get it, who are saying, stop yelling at EA, because frankly, they don't care. They're making money off this. There are people on Reddit who say, get to Disney, get to the parent companies, get to the people who care about this brand, get to Lucasfilms who cared about this brand.
Well, and you have places like Forbes and CNN Money and elsewhere, like, you know, these big name brands who might not necessarily cover things that go on in gaming and esports, all covering this and getting their take and bringing in people, you know, these bigger franchises like Disney and mentioning them in name in their headlines. I mean, if you, like we said before, if you go to gaming, it's all over Reddit. This EA hate is absolutely everywhere, and we'll see. I mean, we'll see now that the games come out what the sales numbers look like, and that might cause a whole new uproar with Reddit. But the final thing that they did do is they disabled, for now, it's only temporary, EA disabled microtransactions and its loot crates for the launch of the game as they reevaluate things. Reddit is a little suspect. They think they're only doing this to let the outrage die down. We'll see what EA ends up doing once they re-enable loot crates. Right.
The speculation from Reddit is that essentially they're doing this to make their game sell, because of course the game is released, I think today.
Placate the community and then take the unsuspecting mothers buying games for their kids.
Right, absolutely. So calm the PR storm down, and then it'll get re-enabled when everything dies down and people are willing to spend their money again.
And I think, so not to spend too much time on EA, even though there is so much work there to cover, I think, Matt, there's perhaps something really exciting going on with our favorite ex-plumber, Mario.
Oh, let's go! Mario, God bless his soul, might be getting a new movie.
I'm pretty excited about this.
The studio that brought you Minions, I believe the studio is called Illumination.
And Despicable Me,
And Despicable Me.
Illumination Entertainment.
Yeah, Illumination Entertainment. They appear to have partnered with Nintendo. Apparently they were in discussions for over a year in trying to get the rights to make an animated Mario movie. So we will not be seeing the 1993 live-action Super Mario Brothers movie remake.
Oh, God.
Thank God.
But the Wall Street Journal, who initially, I believe, broke this story, did say that it's been described as, quote, an animated Super Mario Brothers movie based on the 32-year-old, of course, video game series about a pair of siblings. So Luigi will clearly be involved in this as well.
Oh, that's really interesting. Actually.
Yeah, and when Business Insider reached out to Nintendo, all they said was, quote, we have nothing to announce on this topic, which is definitely not in denial. So, a movie's incoming. Get really excited about it. But I'm always a little nervous. I mean,
video game movies.
I know.
Can't escape the stigma.
I know. But, of course, speaking of the stigma of video games, who is going to take the top spot? Who's not quite going to get there? Of course, the Game Awards, voting for them is officially open now. The Game Awards, of course, are December 7th in Los Angeles. And there's a bit, Matt, of a controversy going on about the Game Awards, about a certain Game of the Year.
Right. So obviously Game of the Year is really, without argument, the biggest category at the Game Awards. You could argue that some things are important, but really, what are you there to see? You're there to see the game that wins Game of the Year, and now I can talk again. So our nominees for that category are Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Persona 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, and a game that's seeing a lot of controversy as being nominated, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Wow.
That's all right. I mess that up when I type it in every day because I refuse to just write PUBG. But, so PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is currently still in early access on Steam, and that has a lot of people pissed off that it's been nominated for Game of the Year against fully developed games like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. People are like, no, you've got to be a fully released, functioning game before you can be considered for something like this.
And it's more of a sort of technical issue than it is more of like, they don't think PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is a good enough game.
Right.
Technically speaking, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is not a released game.
Right, it's not done.
It's not a final product. The game hasn't seen launch. It is still technically in beta. Now, does that mean that the game isn't worthy of winning Game of the Year? Some might say yes and some might say no.
I'm team that if you're not a game that has been fully launched yet, you don't qualify as game of the year, maybe next year, but not this year because you're not a fully fledged game yet.
I would tend to agree with you to a certain extent. Now, of course, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has broken all kinds of records on Steam. It's an incredible game. A lot of people love it. And I think
it's certainly a massive success.
Right, it's a super massive success, and some people, and obviously the panel of and the jury who nominate for the Game Awards seem to think that that in itself makes it worthy for the award. And obviously some people will agree and some people will disagree. I tend to agree with you. I think it's not technically a fully fledged game right now. And when it's released next year, I think undoubtedly, I don't even care what comes out next year. I think it might already have the award for next year wrapped up.
Totally, but I mean, I'm sorry, but against games like Breath of the Wild,
which has my vote, by the way.
No shot.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And if it wins, I will be fairly disappointed because I agree with this. One of the arguments is that popularity should not be the overwhelming factor in something being the game.
The quality of the game. Yeah. I agree with that.
But, Matt, I think you wanted to introduce our last but not least, our final big news for this week in gaming.
So the NA LCS is finally finished identifying its brands, except only Jacob Wolf.
My brand!
Jacob Wolf has finished identifying the brands for the NA LCS.
Thanks, Jacob!
Of course, not officially released by Riot, but the NBA teams that have been brought in for the NA LCS brands have been leaked. So what we have here is the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Golden State Warriors, and the Houston Rockets.
They have all announced, and by announced I mean Jacob Wolf found out. We now know their names for their League of Legends NALCS teams.
So the Houston Rockets will be Clutch City Gaming, which of course is in relation to sort of their own media PR strategy, where Houston Rockets has been sort of going by the nickname of Clutch City for a couple of years now.
Which I dig it. Clutch City, like,
that's an okay.
I think it sounds kind of cool.
I think it's pretty good. It's certainly the best of the three, in my opinion. So good on you, Clutch City Gaming. We're looking forward to welcoming you to the NA LCS this year. Now, the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to be going by the branding of 100 Thieves. So 100 Thieves is a brand that Not A Shot, who's going to be running team operations, brought over to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Some people are memeing this pretty hard on Reddit and Twitter already.
It's lame!
It's pretty lame.
It's lame!
It's pretty lame.
I mean, 1,000 Thieves, but like 100?
That's the difference, Steve. Just the extra.
I'm sorry, I think like 1,000 sounds a lot cooler than 100.
Okay, fair enough. I struggle to see the brand here. We'll see how they develop it, of course, with a logo and a color scheme, and we'll see how they brand themselves on social media.
Also, I'll argue that literally saying 1,000 Thieves sounds better than 100 Thieves.
How much do you think they're going to get called 1,000 Thieves by accident by the cast?
I mean, that's what I was saying before we actually started filming. I was accidentally calling them 1,000 Thieves. Just, if you want my advice, add another 0 on there.
So Katie, obviously, the 1,000 Thieves is your favorite brand, but the 100 Thieves maybe not so much.
Yeah, no, it's lame.
Okay.
Sorry.
So we can then move on to the last brand, which
most recently announced.
The most recently announced is the Golden State Warriors are the Golden State Guardians, or I don't know if they're the Golden State Guardians or just the Golden Guardians.
It's the Golden Guardians.
Just the Golden
is
Guardians.
Their name, and I mean, I don't hate it.
I'm very mad about this as well.
I think that goes in a solid middle if we're doing best being Clutch City, and then Golden Guardians in the middle, and then 100 Thieves like way down there, off screen.
The Golden Guardians, again, it's going to come down to their logo, but as far as sort of relation to the Golden State Warriors brand, obviously. It ties in decently well.
Right, Golden State Warriors, Golden Guardians, like it's all very fluid and ties well into branding, which of course is what you want.
There's alliteration there. I think
literally the acronym is GG.
Yeah, and then of course will work wonders on social media.
Well, right, but I mean, like there's things that they can work into this. But again, man, 100 Thieves is so lame. Like you could only get 100 of them.
Now, see, I'm wondering. like when you're watching a match, and at the top, obviously, teams have their abbreviated things by in game on the layover. What is it? Just 100T? What is
that? Would be loot, though. I mean, the acronym would end up looking like loot because the I would look like an L.
I guess.
Hashtag loot, but it's 100T. Like, get all the loot. Except there's only 100 of you, so I don't know how much you're going to get because your name is like.
We're trying to help, but we're actually hurting.
I hope you.
Okay.
Again, guys, this is Katie and Matt with the Weekly Talkthrough. We won't see you until after Thanksgiving, so please have a great time, eat too much food, but stay safe, and we will catch you next week to go over the biggest news in gaming and esports.